There we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, Mayor McManus, welcome back to Mayor's Monday. Happy 2019. It's the first time we've gotten down here for the new year.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Good day for a drive. It's not going to stay that way for the next couple of days. No. We know that.
Right.
But a lot of stuff happening here in the early going here in the city of Marshfield. One thing I know you're specifically really proud about. Actually, two things I know you're really proud about as a public safety guy. You like that your new police radios are going in, and in economic development, you got a hotel as well coming in.
Right. Well, there's two great things. You know, first is the radios for our police and fire. You know, when I started to run for mayor, one of the first meetings I went to was last year. Golly, what was that? In 2017, on October 10th, and they were talking at that time about the radios, and they were going to spend $180,000 on radios just for the police department. The reason they needed these radios is because many places throughout the city, over at the high school, up along Lincoln, in Walmart, the radios simply didn't function. So a police officer would be over there calling for a backup or saying, I've got this controlled or whatever, and he couldn't get out or she couldn't hear. Well, I knew at that meeting, it was like, wait a minute now, the radio is just part of the equation. This doesn't make any sense. You're going to need antennas and everything else. So it went on, and they did a little bit more research, and when I got elected, by then they were on board with also having fire radios as well, because our great firefighter paramedics, when they go out on fires, they have actually two radios on them, VHF and a UHF, and they have to remember when they're fighting 1,000-degree fire, oh, wait, I got to get the blue one. It made no sense. So, and then they were going to think, well, let's phase this in over 5 years. None of that made any sense. So the final decision, and I'm very proud of the decision, I'm glad the council was on board for this. I think they made a great decision, was to, in essence, lease the equipment. So you get all the equipment now, and not only do you get the radios, but you also get the antennas that go along with it. So now all of your technology is going to be the most current. Very, very excited about that. And it ends up that the money factoring, it's probably going to end up costing us about $15,000 more over 5 years, but that's in a perfect world. That's assuming that during that 5 years there was no upgrades or anything else. So we feel that it's much more cost effective, but also everybody in Marshfield is safer because the radios are in and they're working quite well.
Yeah, and so the installation's already happened and they're carrying the radios now, you say?
It's already in and it's going. They're using the radios, and my understanding so far, I believe we still have some antenna work to do and everything else, but everything so far has been very good.
Yeah, crystal clear connection between everybody, and of course in emergencies like that, the seconds count. You've got to have the clear communication.
Well, I'll tell you what, seconds, you said it perfectly, seconds count. So we're very proud about that. Also, we're going to have a new hotel, coming to town. We're very excited that they picked Marshfield. There was a lot of public input. So initially this was going to be through a tax increment district, and there were some people that had issue with that. Why is the government getting involved in helping a business like that? Well, in economic development, that's really what you do. However, there was enough, when the public got involved, which is always a great thing, when it actually went to vote on the TIF district or the TID district, that was voted down. However, the developer still loved the location, so the developer said, I'm going to continue without the TIF, which is fine. So now we're going to get a new 86-unit hotel, the Hampton Inn and Suites, and my understanding is they're looking to break ground in mid-spring, and they want to be up relatively quick. So they continued on. They went to the Planning Commission, got approved there, and then last Tuesday night at the Common Council meeting, it was in the consent agenda, and the consent agenda went through 10-0 vote. So now they move forward with their next steps.
So when a developer approaches you like this and you say, okay, well, we didn't get the tax increment district, how did those conversations go? I mean, were they still obviously they were still excited about the site, as you said.
You know, what's very interesting is this was the site that they bought is a private site. The Knights of Columbus had it, and Knights of Columbus was just huge here in Marshfield, and they had been there for years, and they made the decision after membership that was going down and a lot of upkeep on the building. They really couldn't afford it anymore, and so it was they made the decision to sell, and that property sat on the market for some time. I think it was almost a year, and the developer came in and they saw it, and they entered into an agreement, and of course the agreement was subject to the city allow them to do that. So that agreement was already formulated. Some of the concerns that citizens had were, you're going to have a bar right across the street from you're going to have the ability to sell alcohol, because they don't, although this hotel is not going to have a bar in it, they'll have drinks available at the counter and then up in rooms. Somewhat mitigated because the Knights of Columbus had a full bar. They actually had 2 bars in there, and people went there for parties and everything else. The other thing was proximity to school. We're going to have traffic. Well, that's a large lot. So if you develop anything there, any type of business, or if you would go in there and put in 12 to 15 townhouses or 8 to 10 houses, the amount of traffic that would do on a daily basis, no matter what you put in there, you're going to have issues with traffic. So those were some concerns, and then they finally just, those concerns were mitigated, I think, but the public they were involved in it, and so we're all very thrilled with the vote.
So again, this is going to be online possibly by the time guests are coming in for the holidays. They'll be able to stay there, right?
That's my understanding. Now that, understandings change.
Of course.
But that is the understanding. I understand that they want to get going in spring and be up and running by November.
And speaking of the property, you mentioned something like this. It's going to come back on the city's tax rolls as well, which is good for everybody in Marshfield, no matter where you live.
Well, I mean, you just look at the finances of it, which is why the tax increment district really made sense, because in essence, the taxes that you would get would pay for everything. So from that thing, it was a very positive thing. But just look at this. Right now, that was a nonprofit corporation, and there was zero tax base. With this hotel coming in, the tax base on that property is going to be about $127,555 annually. So that's a big win for the city. And what it does is it helps these developments, and especially when we get, we had PCA come in. We have some of our great large businesses, rail trucking. These businesses, when they own these big pieces of property, there's big taxes that go along with it. That really facilitates keeping our taxes low for the homeowners. So this is actually going to be very helpful to the homeowners.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, those taxes, they got to go for something. Oftentimes, the one topic we talk about quite often is infrastructure and road projects. There's a lot of frustration down here in Marshfield last year over the Highway 97 project, also known as Center Avenue. Didn't get done. The bids didn't get done right. Well, this time we're on top of it, and we know it's going to get torn up this summer, correct?
Yeah, it was, when I just took over being mayor on April 17th, I think it was, and you're trying, how it is in a new job.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to get your bearings. You don't understand this and that, and understanding the Roberts rules and running these meetings, that's a whole different animal. And then I heard I believe it was May, and we were excited. We had Farm Tech Days coming up, the Dairy Fest, and we wanted this road to be in before Farm Tech Days. Well, then we get a call that, sorry, we're not going to be able to do it. And for me, that just makes no sense. What do you mean you're not going to be able to do it? Well, we only got one bidder. Well, when did you send it out for bid? Well, we sent it out for bid the first week of May. Well, by then, theoretically, all the companies have done their scheduling for the year. Well, there's more to it than that. The state of Wisconsin has a regulation there that if you only get one bid, they typically don't do it because they think that there's something wrong with the schematic. Well, let me preface that. If they get one bid that comes in substantially over budget, if it comes in with budget, one bid is fine. This one came in substantially over. So we had Matt and Russ, and Russ has since retired, come to the council chambers last year in June, and they were very pleasant guys. They were not met with pleasant people. Everybody was upset about it. We've had to put up with this. I mean, you go down Central Avenue, I mean, it is not good. I mean, the police don't know if you've had too much to drink or if you're dodging potholes. I mean, it's crazy. And that is a state road. So we really let on. Well, after that, through the summer, I kept calling Matt, and he's actually a very good guy. He works very hard for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. I have an enormous amount of respect for him, and he put the project out for bid in December. And now get this, it only came back with one bidder, and it was 10% higher than last year's bid. So, but now his recommendation was to approve because they've done it 2 years in a row. They don't know why they're not, we're kind of out of the mainframe away, I guess you might think. And so he sent it down to Madison with his, recommended approval. However, it needs to go down to Madison. Of course, you have changing administrations, so you never know what's going to happen. You've got to get different people involved. And we found out just, I guess about 10 days ago that project did get approved. And so now there's a lot of people very relieved here in Marshfield, and we're very excited about it to finally get that road done.
Yeah, absolutely, because the Evers administration has made no bones about it. Public infrastructure is going to be a priority for them. Talking with other mayors as well, they're looking forward to it. You know what, we might get something done with the roadways here in Wisconsin. I mean, have you had a chance to interact at all with the Evers administration and gotten an idea of what that's going to be like and what it'll mean for Marshfield?
No, I haven't. I've dealt a lot with our local representative John Spiro's, Bob Culp. Senator Jerry Petrusky has been very, very helpful. But I've not really been involved too much in getting involved with the Evers administration. They are, going through from the Walker administration to the Evers, there's so much that they have to do on a daily basis that we're not really looking to get involved with that just yet. We'll give them a little bit of time to get in there and get settled in, if you will. We're hopeful. We're hopeful with, we were hopeful with Walker to get some help for our roads, and Evers has certainly said that he's infrastructure strong, and so we're looking forward to that to maybe even get more help, because here in central Wisconsin, our taxes are just as valuable as the taxes in Madison, Milwaukee, where we seem to have billions of dollars for infrastructure. We need to have our roads done as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to see, again, that Highway 97 project is going to be on track, because I drove it down here. I'm going to drive it going back. And tell you what, it's not fun, first off, when you have the sun at the angle that it was, and then when you have to add into the fact that you got to dodge potholes as well. It's a disaster.
Right. Well, we're excited about 2019. I'll tell you, we got the new hotel going in. Many of our businesses are doing well. We did get some sad news with Figgy's. That they are closing, and also, we all heard the news about Shopko. Fortunately, the Marshfield Shopko is spared, but the world is changing, and they are, the brick and mortar stores just don't do as well. People are buying on Amazon and these other big chains, and some of these stores, you buy it today at 2:00, and it's literally being delivered tomorrow morning at 10. And that's hard to compete. And I understand now they want to get it even faster. Bring it to have a drone come deliver whatever. I mean, really, do you need it that quick? But it is the way of the world. So, but I will tell you this: our unemployment rate here in Marshfield is so low. It is. If it's 3%, that'll be surprising. Many of our employers can't find people to work. Sadly, there's going to be a total of about 246 people from Figgy's that will no longer have employment, and we've got probably $300 or 400 jobs at the clinic. Many of them medical, many of them not. PCA is a great company that just recently came to Marshfield. They can't get people fast enough, and these are good paying jobs. These are not minimum wage jobs. These are really good paying jobs. So our economy here is Marshfield, and we're excited. it's going to be a great 2019.
And looking forward to it. We'll look forward to continuing to be in touch with you as well as 2019 goes on. And of course, always appreciate the time and appreciate what you do for us here at WSAU.
Great. Thank you very much.